Most parents would do anything for their baby. You lose sleep. You change your entire life. You read every article, watch every video, ask every question. But here's what nobody is telling you. Some of the most normal things you do every single day, things that feel completely natural, things that feel like love, are quietly working against your baby's developing brain. Not because you're a bad parent, because nobody taught you this. And the worst part? The damage from some of these habits doesn't show up for months, sometimes years. By the time you notice something's off, the window has already been open for a long time. Let's start with the one that surprises parents the most. 1. Rushing to stop them from crying. When your baby cries, every instinct in your body tells you to make it stop, immediately. You pick them up, you rock them, you shush them, you do whatever it takes within seconds. And that impulse comes from a place of pure love. But here's what's actually happening in your baby's brain when you eliminate every moment of distress before they can even register it. You're not giving their brain the chance to do something it desperately needs to do. The first years of life are when the stress response system gets calibrated. Think of it like a thermostat being installed. Your baby needs small, manageable moments of discomfort, followed by your comfort, to learn that distress is survivable, that things get better, that you come back. A study published in the journal Development and Psychopathology found that infants who experienced brief periods of manageable stress, followed by responsive caregiving, developed significantly stronger emotional regulation abilities by age 3, compared to infants whose every cry was eliminated instantly. This isn't about leaving your baby to cry alone. That's a completely different thing. This is about the 2-second pause. The moment where your baby feels something, registers it, and then receives you. That sequence, distress then relief, is literally how the brain learns to self-regulate. When you eliminate every microsecond of discomfort before it can form, you're not building that circuit. And a brain that never learns to self-regulate is a brain that will struggle with anxiety, frustration, and emotional control for years to come. And by the way, later in this video I'm going to talk about something most parents do during playtime that has almost the same effect. But first, there's something even more common. 2. Talking at your baby instead of with them. You talk to your baby, of course you do. You narrate your day, you sing, you explain what you're making for dinner, and that's genuinely good. But there's a difference between talking at your baby and talking with your baby. And that difference has an enormous impact on brain development. Here's what most parents don't realize. When you talk and immediately answer yourself, when you ask, "Are you hungry?" and don't wait, just keep going, your baby's brain is receiving language, but it's not being activated to produce anything. It's in receive mode only. But when you ask something, pause, make eye contact and wait, even for a baby who can only babble, something different happens. Their brain lights up. Not just the language centers, the social cognition centers, the turn-taking circuits, the parts of the brain that will later handle conversation, reading social cues, and building relationships. A landmark study from MIT found that the number of conversational turns, back and forth exchanges between parent and child, was a stronger predictor of language development and brain connectivity than the total number of words a child heard. Not volume, turns. The fix is so small it almost feels too easy. Talk, then wait, even if all they do is blink at you, or wave a hand, or make a sound. Respond to that as if they said something brilliant, then wait again. You're not just teaching them words, you're building the architecture for how their brain will communicate for the rest of their life. And hey, if this is already changing how you think about those everyday moments with your baby, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more parents who deserve to know this. 3. Keeping everything too quiet and too clean. There's a version of a perfect baby environment that most parents have in their heads. Soft lighting, white noise, minimal clutter, neatly organized toys in muted colors. Everything calm, everything controlled. And while some of that is genuinely helpful for sleep, there's a trap hiding inside it. A brain that is never surprised is a brain that is not growing. In the first year of life, your baby's brain is building neural connections at a rate that will never happen again. Roughly 1 million new connections per second. And what drives that process more than almost anything else? Novelty, contrast, unexpected sensory input. When a baby hears a new sound, their head turns and their brain floods with attention chemicals. When they touch an unexpected texture, new pathways form. when light changes, when a face appears where there wasn't one, when something falls and makes a noise. Each of those moments is a trigger for growth. Research published in the journal Developmental Science found that infants raised in high-novelty environments, more sounds, more textures, more varied visual input, showed faster development in sensory processing and attention compared to infants in consistently quiet, low-stimulation settings. You don't need to overwhelm them. You just need to stop buffering every unexpected thing away. Let the dog bark. Let them touch the rough fabric. Let them see your face make a ridiculous expression. Let the world in. 4. Screen time before 18 months. This one is uncomfortable because almost every parent has done it. You're exhausted. You need 5 minutes. You put something on. And it's just 5 minutes, right? Here's what's happening in those 5 minutes inside your baby's brain. Screens move differently than the real world. Cuts happen every few seconds. Faces appear and disappear. Sounds don't match the environment. For an adult brain, this is completely manageable. For a brain under 18 months that is still learning the basic rules of how the physical world works, this is deeply confusing input. The American Academy of Pediatrics, after reviewing years of neurodevelopmental research, recommends 0 recreational screen time for children under 18 months. Not because screens are evil, because the developing visual cortex, the attention system, and the language circuits all need real-world input, faces, objects, spatial relationships, cause and effect, to wire themselves correctly. And screens simulate that input in a way that doesn't translate. A study in JAMA Pediatrics found that every additional hour of screen time at age 1 was associated with measurable delays in communication and problem-solving skills at age 3. The substitute is simpler than you think. Your face. Literally. Your baby watching your face move, your expressions change, your mouth form words. That is the richest developmental input that exists. No app comes close. 5. Doing everything for them during play. Watch a parent with a baby and a toy. Most of the time, within about 30 seconds, the parent is demonstrating how the toy works. Stacking the blocks, spinning the wheel, pressing the button to show what sound it makes, and the baby watches, and watches, and watches. This feels like teaching. It isn't. When your baby struggles with something, when they reach for the block and miss, when they try to fit the shape and get it wrong, when they push the toy and nothing happens, their brain is working at maximum capacity. Attention is locked in, problem-solving circuits are firing. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, persistence, and executive function, is being built in real time. The moment you step in and solve it for them, all of that stops. A study from the University of Missouri found that infants whose parents consistently intervened during independent play showed lower persistence scores at age 2 and weaker problem-solving performance at age 4 compared to infants whose parents held back and let them struggle with age-appropriate challenges. This is one of the hardest things to do as a parent. Watching your baby get frustrated and sitting on your hands. But that frustration, that moment just before they figure it out, is not a problem to solve. It is the solution. It is the brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Let them struggle a little, then watch what happens next. 6. An unpredictable daily routine. This last one is the one most parents never connect to brain development at all. Because it doesn't feel like something you do to your baby. It feels like just life. Some days nap at 11, some days nap at 1, some days early bedtime, some days late, meals whenever. The day unfolds however it unfolds. But here's what that unpredictability is doing to the most vulnerable brain on the planet. The developing brain is a prediction machine. That is, quite literally, one of its primary functions. From the earliest weeks of life, your baby's brain is constantly building models of what comes next. After the bath comes the feed. After the feed comes the dark room. After the dark room comes sleep. Each time that sequence happens reliably, the neural pathway gets stronger. The brain learns to anticipate. And anticipating, knowing what comes next, is one of the most calming, regulating experiences a baby's nervous system can have. When the sequence is different every day, the brain cannot build those models. It cannot predict. And a brain that cannot predict is a brain in a constant, low-level state of alert. Not panic, just always slightly on guard. Always slightly unsettled. Research from the journal Child Development found that infants with consistent daily routines showed lower cortisol levels, that's the stress hormone, higher sleep quality, and faster language development compared to infants with irregular schedules. You don't need a rigid military timetable. You need a rhythm. Same rough order of events, same wind-down sequence before sleep, the same predictable beats your baby's brain can learn to anticipate and relax into. Because a brain that feels safe enough to relax is a brain that is free to grow. None of these things make you a bad parent. Every single one of them is something people do out of love, out of instinct, out of exhaustion, or simply because nobody explained what was actually happening on the other side. Now you know. And knowing changes everything. Because the same brain that is incredibly sensitive to these habits is also incredibly responsive to the opposite. Every conversation turn you add, every moment you wait instead of rushing in, every predictable bedtime sequence, every unexpected texture you let them explore, each of those small things is building something that will matter for the rest of their life. If this video made you think differently about even one moment of your day with your baby, share it with another parent, because this is the kind of thing that should not be this hard to find. Subscribe to Mindful Infant Psychology. We'll be here every week.